Good evening, I'm John Roland in for Jack Cafferty. He will be with us soon from Washington. As of now, 37 people have been killed in Los Angeles, more than in the Watts riots back in '65. But for the moment, things seem a bit calmer. One man that hopes it will stay that way is Rodney King. He spoke out for the first time since a jury acquitted the 4 officers who were seen beating him on that videotape.
People, I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along? Can we stop making it horrible for the older people and the kids? To see the security guard shot on the ground, it's just not right. It's just not right, because those people will never go home to their families again. And I mean, please, we can get along here. We all can get along. We just gotta, you know. I mean, we're all stuck here for a while. Let's try to work it out. Let's try to beat it. You know, let's try and work it out.
The Justice Department has started a civil rights investigation of those police officers, not just the 4 who were on trial, but 15 others as well. Cora-Ann?
And John, police officials stepped up their arrests in L.A. and say they are beginning to get control of that city. We get the latest now from Fox News reporter Bill Ritter in L.A. Bill.
Well, Cora-Ann, I am at Police Command Post headquarters here in South Central Los Angeles, the scene for the last 2 days of total chaos.
The repression.
Frenzied activity that we did in the past, although you might see a little bit of activity behind me. Governor Pete Wilson is expected to show up here in the next few minutes and have an impromptu press conference, apparently. Recapping, as you said, 37 dead. That surpasses the Watts riots dead figure from 1965. As you implied, more arrests. 3,000 people as of now have been arrested by Los Angeles policemen. 1,300 people have been injured. 3 Los Angeles policemen this morning were injured. We're not sure whether they were injured by rocks, bottles, broken glass, or shots fired. Even though that appears to be going into a little bit of calm in some areas, there are still lots of hot spots.
The city's dusk to dawn curfew did keep the streets empty in many neighborhoods, but there were still dozens of major fires during the night. Some people tried to tap fire hydrants themselves. Some even used an old-fashioned bucket brigade. Police were busy manning the phones in their command center. Some of them even watched television to keep up with what was happening on the streets. Meanwhile, police stepped up their arrests, but the looters were busy, walking away with whatever they could carry. National Guardsmen were ready to step in and help the police. Now, right now, there are 6,000 National Guard troops on the streets of Los Angeles.
They will return fire. They will protect themselves. They will protect innocent bystanders. They will protect citizens. They will not, obviously, they will not engage in a firefight unless they have been provoked.
We are totally committed to provide the resources to ensure that the hoodlums out there, the gangsters, are not going to be able to terrorize the city, that we're going to gain control and provide the safety and security that the people of Los Angeles deserve and want.
President Bush also announced that 1,500 Marines and 2,500 Army soldiers will be ready, just in case they're needed. But in many parts of the city, like Koreatown, store owners stuck together to hold off the looters.
Well, we're saving our store. This is what we worked our life for, you know? We're not going to see it go burn down to the ground.
The damage and violence edged into Hollywood last night. Stores along the Walk of Fame were burned out.
Oh, I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. We had a store here, and we came to see if we can salvage anything. It's all gone.
I've been in Hollywood 16 years. I've seen a lot come and go, and just like, this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, everything will eventually get better. I hope today will show that it does get better.
Back live at Police Command Post headquarters, South Central Los Angeles. Again, police are not yet ready to say things are out of chaos. They do not have control over this city. But privately, many of them are hoping that things will get under control by this weekend. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Reporting live from South Central Los Angeles, Bill Ritter, Fox News. John, back to you.
All right, Bill. Here in New York, there have been several demonstrations against the King verdict, but so far, all of them rather peaceful. Christopher Jones is in Times Square right now. Chris.
Well, that's right, John. What you see behind me is Times Square, just about as quiet as you'll ever see it on a Friday night. Of course, if you stand up here in a light, you attract attention, and there have been some bottles thrown at us, so we're not going to stand here very long. A few hours ago, however, things were a lot busier. Earlier today, about 400 demonstrators gathered to voice their outrage at the Rodney King verdict. There had been reports earlier that the crowd would be much bigger than it turned out to be. In fact, the protesters were outnumbered by police in the area, and from the very beginning, Times Square was very well prepared. Times Square and the surrounding area braced for the unknown as word came marchers would arrive here for a major demonstration in the wake of the Rodney King verdict. As some marchers set out from Brooklyn, it soon became apparent the violence of Los Angeles would not be repeated. But there were some incidents and some arrests. By early afternoon, many merchants in some major office buildings closed down and sent their employees home. Even as the police department sought to reassure businesses there was no need to take extra precautions, some merchants boarded up their stores in the Times Square area, and the huge Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square also brought out its workers to board up its street-level windows and increased its general security. This action was enough to frighten some who work at the hotel.
This, to me, is very frightening, that they should have to go to this extent. It's very frightening. It really is. And I'm reacting to this right now. I'm saying this is, to me, I'm like scared to death right now.
But others were more concerned than frightened.
Whoever is going to show up today is out to support not necessarily the violence that is happening in LA, but the fact that something wrong happened in the criminal justice system.
Well, there is definitely still a real sense of uneasiness here, but for the most part, this has been the best form of American protest. A lot of angry words, very little violence. I'm Christopher Jones, Fox News. Now let's go down to Jeff Weiser at Penn Station.
Chris, about 15 minutes ago, about 400 protesters were upstairs at Madison Square Garden. They actually pounded on some windows and were trying to storm Madison Square Garden, where the Rangers Devils playoff game is being held. There were 6 arrests made and 2 photographers were injured. Now, 3 or 4 hours ago, commuters were swarming here in Penn Station because they were trying to get home. They heard all sorts of rumors, such as the Port Authority being closed, cars being overturned, and stores being looted. But for the most part, those rumors were unfounded. New York City was filled with unfounded rumors of violence all day long. And as a result, New Yorkers by the drove chose to leave work early and head home.
The exchange was supposed to close early, and they were afraid because a lot of the stores along here are closed. They're just anticipating there could be a problem, that's all.
They didn't give us any specifics. They should go home. I think they're trying to clear the city, to be honest with you.
Many large organizations and companies dismiss workers early. Among them, the UN, the Manhattan DA's office, New York Telephone, Time Warner Incorporated, HBO, and non-essential workers at the New York Times. Stores closed up hours early in many parts of town, including Fifth Avenue, where Lord & Taylor closed by 2. And on 34th Street, a whole row of stores closed after reports of a shoplifting incident at this Conway store. Police say there was no such incident. These stationery store workers got to leave work early.
It's just a precaution. Vandalism could be too much. We don't know what could happen here in New York, so we're just going home, be safe with the family.
Back live at Madison Square Garden, one of the protesters who was here is Daniel Bowen, a college student. Daniel, what happened?
Well, upon entering Madison Square Garden, they tried to close us off. And at the time, 3 or 4 police officers, one of them grabbed me. Another one of the police officers punched me in my face. They grabbed me to the ground, but then they let me go. There was nothing else to it.
Okay, were you trying to beat your way in there?
No, it was peaceful. It was just a peaceful we came from 42nd Street on down, and it was all peaceful until this little incident right here.
Okay, thank you. Daniel Bowen, one of the protesters. Most of the protest has gone back downtown. Reporting live from Penn Station, this is Jeff Weiser, Fox 5 News. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Jeff. Still ahead, we will have more on the riots and the reaction. New York City police have set up a special hotline to respond to the rumors and the concerns about violence. And city and state leaders are appealing for unity and calling for calm.
But sadly, the violence in LA spreads to other cities around the country. We'll be right back.